Hey everybody, Miss Dietrich here. We're looking at 3A. Mr. Barney has 28 Purple Dino students in his class, and Mr. Big Bird has 18 Yellow Chick students in his class. Both classes are divided into equal sized teams with the greatest possible number of students on each team. How many students are on a team? And then part B is saying they're asking how many teams are there in all. So when you have multiple parts to the same information, that's when you suspect that we're probably going to be using the distributive property. And when we're using the distributive property, we call that we try to figure out what's the GCF of the numbers that are given in the problem. And in this case, we have two different categories. So we're going to be multiplying that with something plus something. All right, in fact, let me try to move this out of the way because it's kind of in the way. All right, and let me move this a little bit over so we have some workspace. We do need to find the GCF of the two numbers in the problem. Draw a line to separate our workspace. When you start, put what you believe to be the suspected GCF in both lineups of your factor trees. So let's say you think that the GCF is 4, put it in both, and then you want to explore what's the other factor. So over here it would be 7, and over here the other factor would be 4. Now if you look at those purple numbers and you say to yourself, they wouldn't share any common factors, then you can be pretty confident that this is going to be the common factor, or the GCF. But if that what I'm saying is over your head, then you want to keep going until you have the prime factorization for both numbers. 7's a prime number, so I'm just going to bring that down. But over here, 4 is composite, so I'm just going to rewrite that as 2 times 2. All right, so we have the prime factorization of 28 right here, and we have the prime factorization for 16 right here. Now, when you're finding the GCF of two numbers, we've been discussing in class how to use a Venn diagram to organize your numbers. So we're going to have the left circle be the prime factorization for 28. We're going to have the right circle be the prime factorization for 16. And any numbers that are in common, we're going to put them where the two circles interlock. So what are the numbers that they have in common? We have the number 2. We'll put that here. And then we have another pair of 2's. Put that here. Now, if we were interested in the LCM, we'd put the 7 over here, this 2 and this 2 would put it over here, and we'd multiply all that together. But when we're interested in the GCF, we just multiply what we have in here. If it's just one number, then that is the GCF. But in this case, we have two numbers. So the GCF is going to be 4, which we had kind of suspected. Let's put the GCF right here. Now, when you come up with the GCF, you want to really make sure you know what the label would be. So for what? How do you figure that out? Let's go back to the word problem and see where it says greatest number of what? So greatest possible number of students per team. Students per team. So that's what the GCF is students per team. Now we also have to make sure we know what the label is here. Now generally, if you in class we talked about how it should be like something per something. So it's students per team. Now the second word there, the word team, that's going to be the label that we're going to associate with this, and that's going to be the word we associate with this. But how are the teams different? The teams are different in that one team is talking about purple dino, and the other one is yellow chick team. So now we have to figure out 4 times what is going to equal the 28 students that we originally started out with. And we already have that number here, 7. 4 times 7 would be equal to 28. 4 times what would be equal to the 16 that we have for the yellow chick, and that would be 4 times 4, and we knew that by looking right here. All right, so let's make sure we understand the labels on this and how it's going to help us to know which answer choices to pick for each of the questions. So the part where it says the greatest number, what's the number of students per team, we're going to pick 4 students per team. And the part of the question where they want to know, we have to read this carefully because see, it says how many teams are there in all. So we have 7 purple dino team members, and we have and then we have 4 that are yellow chick. So when they want to know in all, that means we have to add these two things together. So 7 plus 4 is going to be one of these numbers, and that's the one you want to pick for part B. Now, another thing that I should mention is if you distributed it properly, and if we do go ahead and add this up, wouldn't we get 11? And if we multiplied that by 4, wouldn't that be equal to 44? We would want to make sure that if we add the 28 and the 16, we want to make sure that we also get the same thing. Does 28 plus 16 equal 44? And it does. So we're kind of on the right track with the numbers. All right, good luck finishing that up.